And good morning. Happy Saturday, May 29th, 2021. I hope everyone's doing well. I want to thank you for being here this morning. If you need IT consulting, go down to williehowe.com, fill out that contact form, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being here. We're closing in on 69,000 subscribers, and that is absolutely amazing to me. And it's just, you guys blow me away all the time. I really do appreciate it. So, what do we have going on today? There's about 17 of you in here. Let me go to the comments. Good morning, Tony Mercer. Noodles is in the house. Dave Robertson, Kevin Smith, Joe with Cajoling Tech. Joe, are you with us from an airplane? Let us know in the comments. Everybody say hi to Joe. Say hi to Tony over there. Tony from Quick Tech is here as well. Anybody that's got that little blue wrench and their name is in blue, they are a moderator. So I've given them the power of the band hammer. So hopefully with 500 mods, we'll be able to keep the BS out of the comments. Good morning, Kevin Smith. Francisco, good morning. TN Bighorn. Yes, it's chilly here this morning too. Let's see here. Good morning, Brandon. Brandon Yarbrough is here with us. Let's see. David Morton will be in touch soon. David is a friend and a client out of New York. How you doing, man? Christian is here. Brian Eden says, "How is this channel not at 100K?" I am at the mercy of the algorithm. If I could get to a place where I could reasonably balance everything that's going on and put out 3 videos a week, I would probably be there in no time. But some things take priority over others. So I appreciate that, Brian. Joe's getting on a plane soon. Everybody say hi to Joe. Be thinking about Joe. Joe's going through some stuff, but he still managed to make it here this morning to hang out with us. Jeremy's in the house. Good morning, Jeremy. Christian from Romania. Good morning. Yeah, not everybody gets a wrench, Joe. That's hilarious. It seems like that. You get a wrench, and you get a wrench, and you don't really get a wrench. But, yeah, JD's in the house. Ressie's in the house. Good morning. Yes, I remember 500. I remember one of my first videos was an edge router video, and it had no audio. And it was just, if you've been with me since the beginning, you know some of those first videos still have no audio. I haven't redone them. Good morning, Paulo. And I took a beating in the comments because people were like, I thought there was something wrong with my speakers and blah, 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 you know? So how far we've come. I've got real lights, a real camera, real microphone, and we just keep doing what we're doing. So, all right. So any IT questions, burning questions about storage, security, any of those things, if I can answer them, make sure you're putting those in the comments. If you saw the video that I published late last night, I published that Unify building to building video. It's a pretty decent product. Some people were commenting that they like the Air Max version. I do have the Air Max version here, so I will likely do a follow-up video on that. But the Air Max version doesn't have the LED, so how is it supposed to go as fast as the Unify version? Lighten up. I'm just kidding. All right. Morning, Sean. Sean, I did not see the message yet. If it was on Signal, I'll check that after I get out of here. Jerry Scroggin, good morning. JD, good morning. Yeah, we've got the UBBs, and somebody asked me, why do you manually upgrade the firmware? So that is something that I always do with a lot of UniFi gear, and maybe I'll put that in a best practices video, but I always upgrade the firmware first. Why? Because sometimes this stuff has been sitting around for a while, and the upgrades through the controller will fail. And instead of me like trying to figure out what's going on, it's easier if I just SSH in. I paste in the firmware URL, take the S out, because most of the time when it fails, it's got to do with the SSL certificate for the Ubiquiti site causes an error. So I just do it, and our installs are flawless. They just work, right? So nature versus nurture, and it's one of those little tips and tricks that you just pick up kind of over the years, right? So Midwest Iowa Shooter says, considering getting a pfSense box in front of my UDM Pro, but don't want to lose the speed of IDS IPS. Thoughts? So it really wouldn't be a good idea to put a pfSense box in front of the UDM Pro, unless, well, you could do a couple. What's going to happen is you're going to end up with a double NAT situation. And that's not going to be good. You try to avoid double NAT when you can. And what you could do, and what we often do, is we will have a USG, because people like the USGs, and in the right situation, the USGs work great. By the way, if you're in here and you're enjoying this comment, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Lets YouTube know that you are interested in the comments or in the content of the channel. But what we will often do is we will sit between the USG and the first switch, and we will use an OpenSense box or a pfSense box, but we will put them in transparent bridge mode, and we will run IDS IPS in line using that appliance. And that allows us to keep IDS IPS for the network, but offload it to a different device where we're not taking that hit. Good morning, Gibby. Yeah, Brandon says that he likes the price of the Air Max version better. Right. So with the UniFi version, with that UBB, you do pay a premium, right? But what does that premium get you? It literally gets you, well, most of the time, an out-of-the-box turnkey experience where you don't have to set an SSID. You don't have to set power settings. I mean, you take this thing out, you deploy it, you adopt it, you set the LED colors, and you walk away. I should do a video of actually installing these. I'm going to put a solar panel out front because people think it's the Indy 500 on the road outside of our house. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a camera, and I'm actually just going to start doing speed averages of how fast semis are going and how fast cars are going, etc. But I don't want to trench power. I don't want to trench Ethernet. So I'm going to put a solar setup in the front yard, and you're going to see a video on that. It'll probably be July, August before I get to that. But what I could do is use that particular UBB kit, and we could actually forget it out of the controller and then do like a legit like install out to that. So maybe that's what I'll do. If people are interested in that, make sure that you let me know in the comments. Sean says, nah, about the no audio videos. That's how we met. Yeah. And it really wasn't American viewers that were really giving me a hard time. There was a patch of South American viewers that were just like pouncing on me because of the audio. So, and it took me a while. I didn't know if the YouTube thing was something that I wanted to do. I was very active in several online communities where you never really put faces, unless you were, your Google foo is up to date. You didn't really put faces to who was helping you out. And I didn't know if this YouTube thing was really going to take off. I'm super glad that it did, because here we are. All right. Gibby says, doing our first Cambium bridge, inbox supposed to be plug and play also. So I actually have a Cambium. I'll have to dig it out. Actually, maybe I sent it to somebody else, but Cambium makes a bridge in a box, and it's prepared. So a lot of the companies have this. MikroTik has the wireless wire. Cambium has bridge in a box. I don't know if Lego Wave or any of the other brands that we use, if they have that or not. But yeah, Cambium does have that literally it's called bridge in a box. And I think I did a video on it if you go back. But you take them out, you point them at each other, you turn them on, and that's it. So, all right, let's see. Good morning, DJ. Where is in the house? Brian Eden. Is the video and audio slightly off sync for anyone else? Who knows? YouTube is doing a lot of things, right? So even though I put out 2 videos this week, I still lost a couple hundred subscribers. Views aren't counting properly on videos and things like that. So YouTube is messing around with the algorithm, or something's going on in the back end. And so who knows what's going on. However, if you've been around, you know that I have, you know what, let me pull up pictures. We'll just put some pictures of this. How's that sound? So, Ubiquity's got some really great products when it comes to, let's see here. I just got to make sure that when I'm scrolling through these pictures that I'm not showing you things that I'm not supposed to, because some of this stuff is confidential, and I don't think you can see things you're not supposed to, which is good. So, last Tuesday night, we were at a customer who's actually our ISP, and we have, so previously I had set up the Ubiquity OLT products for them down in Florida, and I got a chance to actually go to the head end office here, which is about 20 miles from home, and we were able to actually look at the NOC and actually look at the equipment that we were configuring and get it ready to go. Real quick, before we look at the picture, TN Big Horse says, I haven't had a chance to check yet, but have you done a video on setting up a solar system? I have not yet, but that is on my list for this summer. So that is coming very soon. I'm just, I've got the Ubiquity controller and everything for it. UISP has become so powerful, it's not even funny. And so I'm going to revisit that. We're going to set up a mini WISP. It's going to be fantastic. Good morning, Marcel. Blessing this morning. Keep teaching. Yes, blessings to you too. All right, so let's switch over to the pictures. All right, so look at this bad boy. So this is at the head end of the cable network, and they have 2 of these. And these things are massive. I don't even know what the monthly cost is, but that router probably costs as much as my house. There's the top of the stack. So they've got 2 10 gig uplinks coming into this. And this is what they serve cable customers out of. So the interesting part about this is the head end is Cisco, but then they use Aris modems, right? So there's another shot there. And then here, this is interesting. So I posted this on Twitter and people love this. And what this is this is just racks and racks and racks full of these, I think these, I don't know exactly what you call them, maybe transcoders, decoders, or whatever. But so since they're a cable company, they've got all these satellites in the back receiving all this information, and each one of these decodes a different TV station, and then they re-encode it and push it out into the system. So I don't have a picture of this, but all of these racks are actually being replaced with a single rack of servers, and everything will be digital soon. So that's the next project they're working on. But I'm not working on that. I would love to work on that if they'd allow me to. And we're doing trade and services. So they actually upgraded my home internet to gigabit down, 50 megabits up. And so they dropped off a new modem. We got that all going. It's working great. But this is the stack that we were working on. So up here at the top, you can see you've got the edge router, Infinity. They've got a test OLT, or ONU up here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. Yeah, so these are the OLT, and which one is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you can have 10. I can't remember how many clients you can hang off this. 120 maybe clients off of this one box. But you can do up to gig symmetrical with these if the moons align. I think they're doing 500, 500 with it. And then they've got a second box down here. We're actually going to just, for now, keep this one as a spare. And then you've got the Infinity. So I have reached out to Ubiquiti to see if they would send me the smallest box that they have so that I can do some videos on this, because this product it's super solid. It is super duper solid. So let's head back to the comments real quick. Gibby says, sold my first Synology. Very excited on everything it can do. Yeah, so I was just working with a client last night where we installed the phone system. So James got the phone system set up. I come in, I set up a bunch of firewall rules. And one of the things that I've really started enjoying doing as I'm getting, I don't know if I'm getting older or what it is, but I really enjoy looking at firewall rules and consolidating them and having useful comments that tell me what we're doing, but like consolidating rules that do similar things so that we don't have to have 1,000 rules, right? I really enjoy that. And I actually did that on a UDM Pro last night. We tested them. It works. That customer now has a second site in Iowa, and we got the phone system for that. We're putting Synologies in. We're putting one in at the site we just finished. We're putting one in there. We're going to do crossing backups. And they were talking about just getting a 2-disc. And I said, look, once you get this thing in there and you start using it and you figure out what it can do besides serve files, this smaller unit that you can only do, have 2 gigs of RAM and everything like that, it's just not going to, home users that aren't doing much, that maybe have Plex or whatever, yeah, that's fine. But for a business that's going to spin up on it, you need something better. So we're looking at the 920 pluses. So it's going to be fantastic. Joe from Cajoling, I set up internet in Florida, but I don't know if it's where you were at. T.N. Bighorn says, I've got a couple customers that have outbuildings that are more than 200 yards away, so power is definitely out of the question, but a solar point-to-point would be an awesome option. Yeah, we could do it very inexpensively. I think I'm waiting for some other pictures from you for a rack or whatever. We can start that conversation about the solar. JD Moffitt says, could make a living consulting for UISP. Yeah, and once people start seeing the videos we're going to start cranking out, and realizing how easy it is to start. Now, so I say this kind of tongue-in-cheek. Can you start an ISP? Yes. Is it easy? Yes. Can you do it affordably? Yes. However, you need to make sure that you are following all applicable laws. You need to make sure you're following business practices, that you're paying the tax man, all that stuff. So there's a whole other side to it besides just the technical stuff. And we can help you from cradle to grave. So make sure you're reaching out and we'll hook you up. Let's see. Yeah, 46 of you and 21 likes. Hit that like button, would you? Good morning, Dale. Dale, James is going to be reaching out so we can get your phone system finished up for you. Good morning, David Anderson. So we are going to put together a calculator that shows where you're going to be able to select the phones you want, the phone system you want, and then using Telnex as the provider, we're going to show you how much money you can save. We beat every cloud provider. Every cloud provider, our ROI is low. We never mark up the hardware, so you're paying cost for the hardware. We're going to show you. Because here's the thing, right? So if you go to a cloud-hosted PBX and your internet goes down, your phones are on site, guess what? You lose your phones anyway, right? So if your PBX is on site, then you're in control of the hardware. It's that internet connection that is the downfall of whether it's on-prem or whether it's in the cloud, right? So why not have your system on-prem where you control it? We help you control the security, and then just have your trunk in the cloud. Because then when your trunk is also in the cloud using Telnex, we can do auto failover, right? So if your internet goes down and the trunk can't reach your PBX, we just roll the phone calls automatically to a number of your choice. So, James, greetings from Tucson. Joe says ISP would be fun, but I would not want to deal with nefarious actors using my networks and what data to turn over, etc. So there's a lot of different software and stuff like that, Joe, that you can use to track. CGNAT is very popular because CGNAT is going to map a certain set of ports to every user, right? So that when those DMCA requests come through, you're able to very easily and quickly identify who the culprit is. And there's other pieces of hardware that you can buy to stick in line that will help you do that, especially if you don't have, one-to-one actual IP address, if everybody gets a NATed address or whatever. Now, we've been really lucky with the setup that I'm working on, and that they have enough IPs that every customer is going to get an actual non-RFC address, which makes it really super easy at that point. So, all right, so I think what we're going to do here real quick is we are going to poke around the UDM Pro here. Let me see if I can zoom in for all y'all here. Helps if I zoom on the right screen. All right, so if you were with me in the UBB video, you will recognize this setup. Some of you may have not have had a chance to do that yet. So here is the UBB from the video. And you can see we've got 100 link quality, and it is running at 60 gigahertz. It has not failed over. And the link capacity is 876 megabits. And we don't have much going on there. We've just got this US Lite 16 PoE on the other side, so it's just passing data back and forth to the controller. If we go over to config here, we could change the channel width on the radios. So you could see we could double the channel width. We could go to that 2160 width channel. We can change the channel to 2. So these things are set up by default, but the channels that are available to you are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4.5. And then we've got transmit power, which it will not let us change that. But we can also change, the width on the 5 gigahertz stuff. So besides that and the LEDs, you probably aren't going to be messing with the configuration on this too much. If we go to the stats, you can see we just have 5 gigahertz or 60 gigahertz. But we also, as far as I know, I don't believe we have. Let's see. So there's an alignment tool. And if you haven't seen this, I need to do a video on this, because the alignment tool is, it's really cool, right? So when these things are pointed at each other, there's a visual indicator. It's red and green, and it's a visual indicator to let you know if things are, if these two units are pointed at each other, and it tells you right here, correct alignment will result in a solid green LED. So when they are pointed at each other correctly, it will be green. Let's see. So I should probably just do a video on that. That's such a cool feature. Services, you can change the management VLAN, but this has no terminal, so you can't terminal into this like you can some of the other stuff. Here's that Unify Lite 16 PoE. And if we go over here to tools, it does have the debug terminal. Let's see if it's actually going to load for me this morning. Boom, there it is. Maybe. Did I speak too soon? Syncing with device. This is going to fail. It's because of my screen size, isn't it? I'm just kidding. It probably also doesn't help that this thing is like triple natted. I don't think that's going to work. Yep, connection error. And it also, you know what? More likely thing is that, nope, that I did upgrade the firmware on that because it needed a firmware upgrade. Here's the Flex, the good old Flex. Let's see if we can get into the terminal of the Flex. Are they all going to fail on me? They're all going to fail on me. This is what happens live. Then here is the US Switch Pro 24 PoE. Does some layer 3 stuff. Of course, we got the UDM Pro. So this is one of the stacks that you're going to see the video on. So it ends up I'm going to have to do like 4 to 5 different UniFi videos to get all of the viewer suggestions in there. So I've got some Grandstream videos that I want to get out first, and then we'll get back to UniFi. I've got some Synology videos. I was working on QNAP videos, but I need them to get ahead of some of this security stuff, because I can't say, okay, I feel good about you deploying QNAP with all of these crazy security vulnerabilities. I think they make great hardware, right? So that's the thing about QNAP, is their hardware is fantastic, but they've got to get a handle on the software side of this. Alonzo Smith, good morning. Let's see. So once you figure out, Noodle says, being an ISP sounds like a recipe for chronic migraines. But, you know, once you, it's really not that bad. And once you get it figured out, you're making money while you sleep, right? Good morning, Tom. Let's see here. Can you set it up with 802.1x auth? I think you're talking about the UBB, and I don't know that we can. Maybe. Let's see. UBB. So the station is wired on that side. Let's see. Configuration, network. I get nothing there. Services, I get nothing there. General, I just get the name. We can tag it. Doesn't look like it's got 802.1x to answer your question there. Back to the comments. Ha, Dennis, pillows in the house. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis from Indiana. Glad to see you. I hope you're doing well. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see Dennis and I were comparing the heights of our sons compared to the heights of us. I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad you're doing well. Glenn says, I would love to see a video about building a DMZ in front of a UDM Pro. Could you expand on that a little bit? Because I'm confused about why you would put a DMZ in front of a UDM Pro. JH says, every time I set up an ISP, it's always the BGP peers that cause routing loops. Yeah, so, I mean, we're always seeing BGP stuff happening, and that's funny. Midwest Iowa Shooter says, you should revisit the Synology directory server. Ran into issues of user connected to long and can't log into using AD anymore. Friend said it was some password timeout policy. I'll have to check that out. So I've been working with another customer, and we're using DSM-7 in beta to seize Active Directory away from Windows servers. And we've run into some issues, but I believe, based on everything that we're doing, and once again, this customer has a 2-bay with 2 gigs of RAM, and with everything that this thing is doing, it's like the CPU sitting at 76%, the memory sitting at 80%. I believe we are running into physical problems, not problems with the software. So he's going to look at upgrading that, and we're going to try it again. I'm going to try it here in the lab as well. So you can always shoot me an email on that as well. Noodle says, thing is, once you got that WISP thing up and running, some idiot company will appear out of nowhere. So, Noodles, but the great thing is, right, to get up and going, the head end of a network doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, you could, depending on where you're at and how you want to do it, you could even roll out Ethernet to customers, right? Depending on the density of where you're at. So there's lots of options. You just have to think outside of the box. Don't be constrained by what the cable company's doing or even Starlink or anything else, right? If I can get bandwidth to a place, I can figure out how to disperse it. I can figure out how to make money on it. So there's literally 100 ways to skin that cat. Just be creative, think outside of the box. And here's the most important thing: provide consistent quality customer service. So I'm in a couple WISP groups, and they're all laughing at Starlink and this and that and the other thing. But the thing is, those same people who are laughing at Starlink provide poor customer service. So Starlink, as long as they're going to provide good customer service, they're going to steal those clients away, and there's nothing that they're going to be able to do, right? So customer service, you could be charging a premium for your bandwidth, but as long as your customer service is awesome, you're taking care of the customers, you're not going to have any issues, attracting customers and things like that. Claudio says, I changed the IP of the UDM Pro and all the devices disconnected from the controller. What did I do wrong? I'm assuming that you changed the LAN address. And so what you need to do is make sure that L2 discovery is turned on, and then I would reboot the devices and see if they find it. Mr. Jimbo says, do you like the UDM Pro? Yeah, I don't not like it. I think it has an appropriate fit just like anything else. And it is growing on me more and more all the time. So I'm actually thinking about putting it as the head end of the network here. Noodle says, how would you get Ethernet out? I mean, you can't just run cable all over the city. So if you come into a neighborhood and you work with the neighborhood association and you get a cabinet, and you've got these clusters of houses, you could deliver, over a 60 gigahertz backhaul to a cabinet. And then in that cabinet, yes, you could trench Ethernet. Why couldn't you trench Ethernet? I mean, you're at this point, you're just going, you can't do that. You don't know you can't do that. You got to ask questions, find out if you can get permits, find out if you can get permission, make sure you're, registered properly so that when they come out to Julie that they find your cabling, I would put like an in-ground, you could do a direct burial cable as long as it's got a tracer wire in it. I don't see why you couldn't do it. That's the thing. Saying that we can't do this, that's not doing you any good, man. Get out there, research, talk to people, figure it out. You could absolutely do it. But you'd have to build out, right? So that's a thing. When you build these out, they don't, they're not always having equipment sit in one place and serve a whole city, right? They're going to have cabinets all over the place to do that. Havoc says, hello there. Have you ever tried desktop drives with the Synology NAS? Yeah, we've thrown desktop drives in there. They work okay. Let's see. JH says, some of the WISP that I've worked on, I end up using an edge router for the routing. It's hard to beat that cost. As far as radios, I end up using 5 gigahertz nanos, and I always NAT them to save IPs. Yeah, and we have a way that we set it up, so it's very easy. If a customer needs a non-NATed IP, we have a very, very easy way. It doesn't involve PPPoE. It's very easy. It works. It's fantastic. Glenn says, I bought a used load balancer, but it appears that it needs to be in the DMZ. This sounds like it's much more complicated than what we're going to answer in the comments. So Dexter says, good morning, Willie. Will Ubiquiti switches do Q and Q? Ubiquiti switches will not do Q and Q. MikroTik will do Q and Q. Extreme, Juniper, some Cisco. There was another brand. Oh, even the QNAP switches will do Q and Q, but no, Ubiquiti switches and Edge switches will not do Q and Q. People have been asking for Q and Q, but it's not there. Good morning, Ryan. All right. Joe from Cajoling says, I got a question for you. What do you think is the best all-in-one router switch WAP combo? It's for a portable rig. Oof. I think that we could probably get a Pelican box, Joe, and build one better than anything that's out there. We should talk about that. I think it'd be an interesting idea because there's a pop-up Wi-Fi company that I've kind of been going back and forth with on social media, and I'm thinking about throwing something together like that. Let's see here. JD says, fiber deployments are going strong these days. We're moving into fiber to the home this year and very excited. Yeah, and my ISP is too. The funny thing is the way that the system that comes to my house works is actually fiber to the premise, and then they convert it to coax on the outside. Not now. They're going to go straight up fiber all the way in. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't know that I'd use a cradle point for that, but I think you could build a better rig. So, all right, well, I appreciate everybody being with me this morning. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that you are interested in this content. If you need anything, remember you can always go to williehow.com and fill out that contact form. Someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I want to thank you for being here with me this Saturday morning. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody gets a chance to go out and breathe some fresh air and bring a little center to your life. And all of the affiliate links, all that stuff is down below. You don't have to use them, but it is appreciated if you do. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for